There were neither beginnings nor endings to the Wheel of Time, but it was a beginning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Xerath Prevails. Folks, I have Celiac Sarah here from Hollow Table News Network. She, and under the Hollow Table, she's got kind of two podcasts. Mostly just one, I think, but they have different names every week. And, anyways, she's going to be here tonight to help me, or today, whatever time of the day it is for you guys. But she's going to be helping me answer questions that you guys asked as kind of my thank you for the 8K subs that we have and everything. So Sarah's not allowed to talk until I give her permission, is what I told her. So Sarah, how are you today? Thank you so much for doing this. I give you permission to speak.
Stop talking. I'm good. How are you?
It was really difficult, actually. I'm in the middle of a video for my own channel, and I was told not to speak. It's rough. Actually, okay. I don't. It was good. I feel like I grew, actually.
You don't need to grow.
I hope that's not a fat joke, but
no.
Anyways, guys. Well, you had to say that, but here's the thing, folks. The other part of this is, so we're going to talk about Galaxy of Heroes. We'll talk about a little Wheel of Time and personal life. All of the things are on the table. We have 10 questions, and Sarah picked 8 of them. I picked 2. But before we do that, I do want to just mention, this is one of our ways of being able to plug our podcast that we have together for Wheel of Time. It's a show on Amazon Prime right now. It's based off of a 14-book series. It's a pretty good series. I've read the whole thing a few times. Sarah has read almost nothing of it.
I've read 2 books. I'm on the 3rd.
Yeah, I know.
Give me some credit.
I didn't say nothing. I just said almost nothing.
That is like 1/7 of the series.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's lived 1/7 of their life, are you like, oh man, you are wise in the ways of the world?
Maybe. I mean, if it, I'm not going to get dark, actually. Never mind.
Yeah, save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, in the video description, you can find a link to our podcast. We have a Discord server that you can go from the links from there. And it's a good time. We talk about the show that's going on every week right now. And we talk about the books, and it's a good time. So check us out. And otherwise, Sarah, why don't you start asking some questions? I'm gonna get some B-reel footage going here, and we can just kick back, and I'll answer all of the uncomfortable questions that you have prepared for me.
Okay, cool. So I'll start easy. We'll start easy.
Okay.
What is the story behind your name, Xerath Prevails? Which, I mean, Prevails isn't really part of it, but
I would actually say that that's probably the more important part. So Xerath, as a name, like I've always been a word person. I've always really enjoyed wordplay and all of that stuff. And I've always really, for whatever reason, even when I was just a kid, I always liked like the AE in words, and I liked X and everything, as a Z sound. And so at one point, my original screen name was actually Darkstrider, which was named after the old like Darkstrider campaign in the Star Wars role-playing game. And it was at one point I remember there was this kid on the swim team who I just loathed. I always hated him so much, and we played Halo together once, and his name was Darkstride with an A at the end of it instead of Darkstrider, and I was like, you've ruined Darkstrider for me. And so,
especially with the A at the end.
I know, I'm still gagging. It's so gross. And So, anyways, I changed my name to Xerath, and then eventually the Prevails part is just, it's more of a character point for me. Like, people a lot of times will take it as Xerath wants to win. Xerath is always going to win, but it's not something cocky necessarily. It's more of just, I want to come out on top, whether it's by winning or if it's by learning something new, something like that. Like, we're not going to give up. Like, you don't prevail by like capitulating, by losing, not by having that loser mentality of like, I give up, I'm not interested in this. It's more like it's a winning mentality, and we're going to prevail whether or not we like actually technically win. It can still be a point of prevailing. So
all right, I can't react to it because I actually already need the story. So.
Oh, okay. I probably already told everyone. So.
I mean, I know we've talked about it, so it's all good.
All good.
Okay, so this one was asked multiple times in a variation of ways, so I'm kind of just mashing it together in my own way. But let's say 3 tunes in the game are not your favorite, but do you think are the best reflection of the characters from the Star Wars series, movies, shows, books, whichever, and then put into the game in terms of kit?
I really like that question, actually. I think my very favorite is B1. I feel like they got B1 like as perfect as they could, like, because in the show it doesn't work if you have a B1 who is tanky or can take a hit at all, but there's always so many of them. Like, how do you reconcile that? And I love that they were able to show what characters. You just deleted it off the spreadsheet. What are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Okay,
I put it back.
Gosh, that distracted me so bad. All right, I'm even just leaving it in this video just to show everyone how.
That's my fault.
Awful. No, you're fine. But I was like, whoa. So, anyways, I think B1 is great because he is like the overwhelming firepower. Like, B1s are just constantly shooting and stuff in the movies, and especially in the Clone Wars series, and they're pervasive. It takes a while to take them all out, and yet it doesn't take much to hurt them. And so like the stacks and everything, I feel like it's almost perfect. It's, they facilitate so much, and everyone just kind of overlooks them and just, like Grievous just like casually swats them aside and stuff. But the B1s, without B1s, like the Separatists aren't going to be effective at all. And so I think that B1 is almost perfect reflection of how he is in the lore. My favorite character is probably just like the most boring favorite character ever, because everyone likes Han Solo. But I just like his shoots first, and then I just like that he does so much damage. He just destroys people, and it's fun to see him destroy people. So it's cool, and he's just constantly like, I love that his rules also reflect, if you have it set up right, to be able for him to shoot like 5 times in a row, and Chewie the whole time, if he's on the same squad, is just gunning alongside. Like, there's their kits go so well together. I truly love Han Solo in this game. It reflects everything, and I think my very favorite part of all of it is Watt goes first. He always gets a bonus turn, except for if Han is there. They both get a bonus turn, but no matter what their initial speeds are, Han always shoots first. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a really smart move.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing ever. So, and then finally, I think that my final addition to this is Royal Guard, because he just stands there. And that's it.
He just hangs out.
Yep. Pretty lore consistent, so.
I mean, he's got stun on basic.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's consistent with lore, but.
No, but
Otherwise, he just like puts out some buffs for his team. Like, who knows? Who knows? Like, if Luke is fighting Vader, like if Vader started like doing better, maybe that's because it's Royal Guard. Like, you know, he was like, maybe he didn't actually leave. Maybe he was just hiding behind something, and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna buff Vader. You know, I don't know.
All right. I'm gonna hide these rows now. Cool.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can hide the one that I just answered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
Okay.
acceptable.
Thank you. Okay, so this one is super interesting, and I'm actually curious about this. How much has the GAC delay affected you personally as a Galaxy of Heroes streamer / content creator?
Gosh, well, so yeah, that is a tricky one because so yeah, I have an off week, obviously, every GAC off season, and that's usually my most productive week for YouTube and stuff. That's my opportunity to make a couple extra videos and stuff, because GAC takes so much time and effort for me. Like, it's no joke to have to place defenses for 3 different teams, and if you want to scout and make sure that it's not going to be an auto deploy or whatever. And for my main account especially, like, the competition is just so crazy. Everyone is so skilled. It takes a long time to scout people and to prepare and get everything ready, and so without that, I can actually be fairly productive on making videos and stuff. So this delay is actually better for me as a YouTuber, I think. Even as people would like don't want to, I don't have easy videos to get. Like, GAC is also very nice because it's a built-in video every 2 days or whatever.
Right.
But I would say the biggest impact, though, so my YouTube stuff, my numbers will go up a little bit from all of this, I believe, especially now that they just announced GAC is taking a position of prominence. But I would say the biggest part, guys, and this it's a struggle, is my Twitch numbers are just going to be way down, because the only real interesting thing to stream on Twitch, like Conquest can be interesting sometimes, but it gets a little boring.
It's also not on right now.
Right, it's not on, and there's no territory wars. You're like, shouldn't be doing it because you're just screwing your own guild by, people can scout you and stuff and see what you've placed on defense and what you haven't. And so there's nothing to stream really. You could do like roster reviews, but it's really hard to organize that and give satisfying roster reviews in 5 minutes. So my Twitch stuff, my Twitch numbers, and that's a huge amount of my income actually. That's a huge percentage of it, and like my ending numbers are going to be a lot lower, and that's unfortunate, but I have to hope that the upswing, because GAC is so much more important now, will be bigger. We'll see. So it's been impacting me on a lot of levels, making more content and probably better content, but at the same time, my Twitch, my live streams are just not as engaging, and therefore I'm not making nearly as much money.
Man,
I
that
know.
was not the answer I was hoping for, but
What were you hoping for?
I don't know. I don't know what I was hoping for, but I don't like to hear that.
I know. I was poor, and now I'm poorer. Life is hard.
Oh man, it'll be back in like a week and a bit.
It's all good.
Right?
Narrator. It wasn't.
It wasn't. Okay. Okay. Let's do this one, which is another like mishmash of questions. So it's gonna be 2-parter.
Okay.
First part, apparently tons of people want to know what you do in real life. Second part, though, what would be your dream job aside from being a Galaxy of Heroes content creator?
It's a good question, because the person saying that probably has heard me, because I would love to do this full time if I could. It's just really tough to do this and like build it yourself. I'm making progress, but man, it is just very challenging. So the thing I do in real life, And I can't be real specific about this, frankly. Like, there's certain elements to it that I'm just not really willing to reveal. But in broad strokes, I work for the state in Colorado. I am an auditor for my organization, for the department I work for. And it's not like a numbers crunching, like, financial auditor. I make sure that a bunch of standards are maintained, that, you know, we make sure that all the employees are, you know, paid and treated the right way. We make sure that the things that our organization, that are the goals of our organization, are being met in a way that is actually healthy and equitable for all parties involved. And there's over 600 different standards. I have a bunch of different, like, it's not just one thing that I am overseeing, like one building. It's several different places, and so there's a lot going on, lots of moving parts. I'm also the policy coordinator for the area that I'm in, and so lots of writing policy, lots of reading technical language and making sure that we're actually maintaining the right documentation to prove the standards. And it's very, very, very boring if you're not into it. But if you have the right kind of mind for it and you think it's interesting, that kind of thing, which I do, it's actually not a bad gig at all. So that's what I'm currently doing. My dream job besides this, honestly, my dream job would be something similar to this. Or I guess the other option would be something like, I would like to be self-employed doing something. Like, I mean, creating content would be great. For a long time, I thought I was going to be like an author. I thought I was going to write books. And if I'm not allowed to do, like, in general, like do podcasts or do other things, I mean, honestly, I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, I was used to play officer, and that wasn't like I was being like a police officer or something. I would have an office. It was like very nerdy.
That was not what I expected.
So just like, basically, I would just want to be a screen starer if I had my druthers. So.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. There you have it.
What's your dream job?
Oh man, my dream job. I legitimately want it to be an author as well. Oh, I've never told you that.
No, you haven't. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What kind of books would you write?
I don't have the creative, like, capacity to create a whole, like, fantasy world, so I don't think I could do fantasy. I think I could do like just general fiction really well.
Nice.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are very similar. We know this.
Well, if you ever write a book and there's a character in it called Darkstrida, then I'll know where it came from.
Not Xerath.
No, that would be way too obvious.
Oh man. Okay. Okay, this one's good. With you having piloted many Rebel fighter teams and being a great theory crafter, what do you envision being the best lineup for Kyle Katarn? What do you think the team's ceiling could be?
So I do want to just address, I really appreciate that, like, being a great theory crafter. I really appreciate that. I don't really consider myself that much of a theory crafter, frankly. Like, I come up with teams every once in a while, I guess, but I'm not the guy who just reads a kit and I'm like, oh, you know who Omega would go really well with? Bounty hunters. Like, I don't. I come up with some pretty practical counters a lot of times. I'm like, oh, so I already have, like, a General Grievous team, like, lined out. Like, I know what a good General Grievous team is, and the strengths of a General Grievous team seems like it would do really well against Commander Luke, and that, you know, it took some tweaking and I was able to figure that out, and so that was like kind of my counter. But at the same time, it's not like this really crazy intricate squad that, you know, that required a ton of theory crafting. So that being said, I do usually have a pretty good mind for what is going to go well with each other, and Kyle Katarn is just going to be a transcendent piece to that Mon Mothma team. I think so. Obviously, Mothma is going to be the part of it, and Katarn. That wasn't a debate. And then I think the key, like, you need POW. It's going to have to be a turn meter team. In 5v5, it'll be a turn meter team, and so we'll have POW, and then probably Hoth Rebel Scout. And then the real question is that 5th slot. It's either going to be Cara Dune, which she has a lot of good synergy because she gets potency up from Kyle Katarn, and that's the way she consistently revives herself.
Yep.
And so she'll we'll either want that, but I love Biston on that team also because he's another part of consistently taking a lot of turns because he gives himself frenzy, and then people use their specials, and he just goes and goes and goes, and he kind of fills in the gaps that Hoth Rebel Scout and POW kind of leave in that turn meter gap. And so, like, Kara can do that too with her thrown grenades and reducing turn meter, but that doesn't always work because it requires a potency check. Biston can also just spot check every once in a while and just be like, oh, I'm going to take all your turn meter. Like, you're getting a little too close to taking a turn, like it's just gone now. So I like the idea of Biston in there instead of Kara, but I think that's the biggest test for me. That's what I'm going to have to test. It's also, the squad works way better if Mothra goes first, and Kyle Katarn is going to make it so that she can't go first. He just, no matter what mods he has, he's gaining that 30% turn meter right off the bat, and he has a high base speed, and unless you make him really, really slow, and I haven't done the math yet, he might just go first anyways. Like, Mothra at 300 speed is tough to get there. It's tough to get her even at 300 speed, and if she doesn't get to go first, the whole team is a little off kilter because it takes her a while to get a turn, because then the rest of her team is getting a bunch of turn meter, whereas she's just standing there. She needs to summon Worthless Guy as soon as she can, and it can be a mess. So that's kind of the stuff I'm wrestling with. Who should go first, and what the turn order should be.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that he would mess up the turn meter or turn order. Sorry.
It's a team that, so I mean, this is actually a pretty appropriate question because this is a team that they asked about theory crafting. It's a team that I did. Like, if there's any team that I've theory crafted at all, this is the one that I spent an enormous amount of resources and time trying to figure out how to use Mothra to counter Grievous in 5v5, and it's pretty successful. And so I know a lot of the kits. It's going to be really interesting to see. Like, I think Kyle Katarn just makes this easy mode, but I'm not sure. There's always a wrinkle to these kits that you just don't see. So
right,
I'll have to test it.
You'll find it. Okay.
I'm sure I'll find the wrinkle. I don't know if I'll be able to solve it.
Right. That's another problem. Don't worry about it yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. It's a future Xerath problem. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, screw that guy.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about him yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to Wheel of Time.
Nice. Okay.
What separates Wheel of Time from other fantasy works, i.e. Tolkien, Terry Brooks, Robin Hobbs? I've been reading fantasy books since Narnia when I was in elementary school, and Wheel of Time has always been recommended to me.
I mean, that's such a broad question. I guess I can try to answer it though. So I guess first off, Wheel of Time is a wonderful book series because it has so much depth to it. Like, he's built that Wheel of Time world to such a crazy degree that it's very immersive. Like, you've read the first few books, but eventually, like, he fleshes out every single nation, and he has, like, all of the different rulers and all their different politics and how they interact with all these different outside groups and all these different characters. And he writes such a diverse range of characters. It's very impressive. Like, there's a lot of different, even pretty good fantasy authors that you're like, man, this guy is, like, basically the same. This guy's basically the same as a different character I read a little earlier in the series. And like, he just, every character is different. And I think that, I mean, it's also finished, which is nice.
Right.
And then, I don't know, just the level of immersion here. Let me get the different B-reel footage. We don't need to, we're about to run out of tape here. I'm just clicking a random one. 3v3 next, folks. All right. So, anyways, I feel like, so like Terry Brooks is listed here, and I feel like Terry Brooks, the one really nice thing about this series, so a lot of people complain about how long, like some of it is kind of a slog, and I get that, but he never lost his skill at being able to paint a good picture of a situation, and so, like, he also is... Like, he quit at the top of his game, basically. His best book, in my opinion, the one that he wrote best. Well, I like book 4, but then I like book 11, which is the book he died after writing. And, Brandon Sanderson had to finish it, but, like, the very best book of his, like, the ones that, like, it has 2 of my top 5 favorite, like, Wheel of Time moments in that book. He just writes them so epically, so well, and so you don't have, like, Terry Brooks, he starts off really strong in his Shannara series, and it just goes so downhill over time. Like, I've stopped keeping up with it. I probably have, like, 20 or 30 of his books of his Shannara series, and at one point, I'm like, I'm done. There's no value here, and so, like, the quality never goes down. Sometimes it feels like, are we ever going to move the plot? But it's such a beautifully written story, it's hard for me to notice. That's the thing I like about it. I mean, there's about a million other things. I also like that other series have, I don't know, elements to it that I like. You don't need certain things, like all of the, like, Game of Thrones and stuff. It's well written, but it's also really steamy. Like, there's a lot of, like, really, really graphic sex scenes that are, like, unnecessary and kind of derail the story in a lot of ways, you know?
Right.
I know a lot of people enjoy those, and I no shade on people who like them, but I personally, like, always found that distracting to the overall narrative, and he doesn't have gratuitous things like that, really. So,
right.
Anyways.
Makes sense. Okay. So, in your opinion, going back to Star Wars,
All right.
what are the needed changes, necessary additions CG needs to make in the interest of protecting the longevity of the game?
Jeez.
I know. Loaded question.
So, that's a really tricky one. So, here's the thing. Players, and this is all content creators. This is Arnold, this is Cubs, this is me, this is everyone, we've all universally failed to identify what is, like, what CG does to make, like, the way their motivations are, the way, like, the making money scheme, like, they want to make money, and we get pissed when they charge money for things, and, that it's not good value, and there's all these elements, and we're not wrong about, like, how it makes us feel, but there is a certain level of, like, just rampant cluelessness that we have as a community about what their motivations are and what they need to survive, because they consistently make money, and yet we're always like, oh man, everyone's gonna quit after this, and then they don't, because they have the data. They watch the data, and we don't have access to all the data, and even if we did, we don't have the training or knowledge to understand and make these decisions that CG is making. And so I'm not defending any of their decisions necessarily, but I do think that they're making decisions based off of things that, like, they make, the decisions they make are probably a lot smarter than they look to us. We're like, man, they're idiots. Like, they must just, they're gonna lose so much money, and then they have, like, their best fiscal, in, like, months, and it's like, well, we're failing to understand something essential here. And so what do I think is going to need to be changed? I think I don't necessarily know that we need to. Like, they've piloted this game for a long time, and they've made a lot of money a long time, and there's a lot of good phone games out there, and they've stayed pretty relevant. They've kept the game balanced. I think that the fact that they continuously tweak they want to make sure that everything is balanced. Like they want to make sure that everyone can compete. I think that that's key. Here's the thing that I would really like to see is I'd like to see them start moving toward more like e-games kind of stuff. Like it seems like we're just a little bit out of sync with a lot of like the really big games that do have more of the e-games, and maybe this GAC change is going to be a move toward that, frankly.
It feels like it is.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I have no idea if it's actually truth that's how it's going to be, but I mean, I think they just need to keep modernizing stuff, and they have to make, I think, here's the thing. I think they have to make some unpopular decisions sometimes. This GAC, the arena to GAC switch is frustrating for a lot of people. I know it's going to make a lot of people quit. Everyone is saying it's going to, well, a lot of people I've heard is saying it's going to kill the game. They're going to quit. They hate, everyone's just so mad. But they need to make these kind of tough choices if they want to keep living. Like, my guess is that their numbers were showing less interaction on, less engagement in arena, and the grand arenas has more engagement, or I don't know, but I think they've earned more trust than people are giving them credit for.
I always like to use the saying, just because we can't see the big picture doesn't mean there isn't one.
Yeah.
To throw my 2 cents in.
No, I think that's a great way to look at it. Honestly, like I would really love it if I'd love to see the bigger picture.
Totally.
But barring that, I think that they do a better job than we think they do. It looks like they did horrible because it pisses us off. And we want to think that they've done horrible.
Yep. Okay. So we can go a little lighthearted route. Who is your favorite Star Wars character, in game or not in game, doesn't matter. And if you were a character in Star Wars, who would you be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so my favorite character has always been Han Solo, but I'll give you a different one because I already talked about that. I really like Corran Horn. It's in the expanded universe. He's not even canon anymore. He's an X-Wing pilot in Rogue Squadron, and he turns out to be a Force-sensitive, badass Jedi, but he has some severe limitations with his Jedi powers, and he is just a really cool guy. Like, he's got a lot of good character development, a lot of just good character things where, he does a lot of cool stuff. And, I actually ended up naming my second child after him. So, I mean, clearly I like him. And I've always just loved all the ships and stuff. I mean, if I was a character in Star Wars, like, if I wasn't just a screen starer, like, just guy who just is in the background doing nothing, like, I think that's the thing I always dreamed of. I always played all those flight simulator games and stuff, the Star Wars ones. I would love to do that. Fly a Y-Wing, or not a Y-Wing. Why did I say that? But X-Wing? An X-Wing would be fine. Like, an A-Wing is the one that I always chose in those ones because they're fast, and even though they're lightly armed, they're fun. So, or a TIE Defender, that would be sweet too. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be anything too crazy. I'd just be in the rebellion because if I think someone's bad, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to deal with them.
Cast them aside.
Yeah, like if they're like, hey, dude, you'll make way more money if you're creating content for the Empire, I'd be like, no, I'm creating content for the Rebellion. Screw you guys. It's actually not true. Some of the things I've done lately on videos, I've been like, man, I feel like I'm selling out. But,
selling out, man.
Not really. I'm making like these silly ranking videos though. It's kind of funny.
Hey, they're entertaining.
Sure.
Okay, so last 2 questions. So you once said in passing that guys don't farm gear as a reference to farming character shards instead, but then you didn't elaborate on it. So just curious to hear you expand on that idea.
Yeah, so I think that the most important thing in this game, and this isn't going to change actually with the new GAC stuff. We're going to probably, it'll maybe change a tiny bit, I guess, in my approach, but for the most part, I think the biggest thing in this game is having roster flexibility. Just being able to accomplish a lot. And that's not just in GAC, that's also like, can you finish all your assault battles so you can get all your Zetas that you need? Or can you finish all these other game modes? Like, can you compete in territory battles? Can you do okay in territory wars? Can you actually do okay in squad arena and especially fleet arena? But all of these things lead to GAC, which is the one that is most important to me, obviously. And here's the thing: if I'm like, man, I just realized that I really want a Jedi Training Race Squad, and it needs to have the hero Finn and Poe, and maybe even BB-8.
Well, definitely BB-8 if it's Jedi Training Ray. But go on.
Well, maybe we'll see. Definitely not BB-9, but but if I wanted to do that though, and I haven't been farming characters at all, and I have 0 shards for Hero Finn, unless I want to spend a lot of money, I'm going to have to wait for 3 months to even be able to use that squad. As opposed to, if I haven't farmed, I can be like, hey, I've even been saving the gear, like I can use him tomorrow. So having characters farmed is good, and the gear is gonna come, especially now that they updated how much gear they're giving us. Like, we just get a ton of gear. We've always gotten a bunch of gear, and so yeah, I think that's all I mean. Like, you're gonna get gear. You just need to have a more. It's also gonna be better for your mental health of just like, instead of just tapping your foot like, hurry up, get me, like, eventually you're gonna want to spend money because you want to hurry up and advance your roster. And if you're just like, you know what, my squads will get there when they get there, I'm just gonna chill out and we're gonna have a good time, it's going to be a lot better for your mental health as well. Just trying to wait, be making a priority of being patient, I guess.
Right. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. I purposely saved this one for then. So, how has the success of your channel impacted you in your life outside of the game, other than it basically being a second job? Whether in terms of personal lessons and impacts it has given you or your family, growing as a person, etc., etc.
Oh yeah, So for me, on a personal level, I definitely thrive off of the knowledge that I'm helping people. If I know that someone has been helped by something I do, it really boosts me on some level, some psychological level, that, it's extremely just satisfying to know that the things I've done have made an impact for someone. And even though it's just that, like, quote unquote dumb phone game, it's still just it like, people put so much time and effort into it, and it becomes more important than if you just call it a phone game. Like, that super diminishes what it actually really means to people. And so I just on my level, like, I love being able to help people. I also, it's really cool that I'm kind of living my dream of, like, could I actually be self-employed at one point? I've been doing other projects, like the one I'm doing with you currently and stuff, trying to see what other content creation opportunities are out there for me. But in terms of, like, personal lessons and impacts it's given my family, so I mean, my family's had to learn to grow with it. My wife hasn't always been as understanding as she is about it now, and a lot of that helped once I started actually making some real money. She can call it a second job instead of just Xerath's eccentric hobby.
Yeah.
I think that as I have less and less time, I've learned that I need to be intentional about how much time I'm spending with my family. Because if I just wanted to shove them aside, which I don't, but if I did, it would be very easy. I could just spend all my time, but that I'm not at my other job, just creating content. That would be a possibility, and I don't want that. Like my boys are too important. My wife is too important. I can't conceive of a situation where I find that acceptable. And so, but it's, if I'm not careful, that still happens. And so I have to be very intentional. I don't know where that extra B came from, but I have to be really intentional about spending time with them. And the other thing is, I'm just constantly working. I don't get much sleep. I think that having that perseverance and being able to identify that, a thing is important to me, and, a goal is worth pursuing, I have to make personal preferences. I have to figure out what I want to do, what my priorities are. And I think that chasing a goal like this, though, like, how many people have the opportunity to chase the dream job that they like? I've always wanted to do something like this, and if I can actually make it happen now, I don't know that I can. Frankly, I don't know if this is going to be my reality forever. I would love it, but the fact that I get to chase it, how many people get to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And like, also, how many people get to push themselves this far? Like, see how much they can accomplish. Like, I'm doing so much. Like, I'm working a full-time job at a very demanding job at that. I'm also, I'm streaming 3 or 4 times a week. I am making a podcast with you on a different topic. I have a podcast for Galaxy of Heroes. I have a daily content here. I also am making a podcast with my sister that we're about to release. There's a lot of things going on. I'm also making sure I'm maintaining a lot of good family time and everything. Like, how many people get the opportunity to see just how far they can push themselves and see how good they can how well they can manage their lives. I mean, I've done that in grad school too, but it's just cool to see, like, look at what I'm capable of. This is awesome. I don't know. I know that maybe that sounds really full of myself, but I just...
No.
Being able to see what my limit is and how much I can actually do, it's a gift, really. Like, just being able to know and evaluate what I'm made of. What can I do? It's cool. It's prevailing,
Yeah. Full circle. I like it.
Yeah. What about you?
Ooh, what about me?
I just thought I'd ask and see what answer I got for it. But so what about you making content? What have you learned?
What have I learned?
Yeah.
Ooh, man. See, I did not prepare for you to turn it back around on me.
I barely prepared for this, so.
I know. So shocker, same scenario. I also really thrive off knowing that I'm helping people. So that's primarily the one thing that I've learned. Probably my biggest thing I've learned on a personal level is that I need to be able to set boundaries, because I like helping people so much, and I am such a people pleaser and want to help people, that if I don't set that boundary, it will literally be all I do, and it bleeds over into anything. So I have to be able to set that boundary, unfortunately, which is a good thing, just like transferable in life in general, I think. So, and then, I mean, I think the biggest thing is I get to interact with all of these people. I get to sit here and ask all these questions.
Yay! You get to be a question asker. Woo!
Which is hilarious because of my real job.
It actually is. Yeah, it's a good
actually
parallel.
Is. Wow, full circle.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, but I love interacting with people online on Discord. That's like probably like the best part of getting to do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. I think having all the different interactions and stuff, I've met so many people, so many good friends from this game. It's been amazing.
Yep.
So is that it?
That's
is that
it.
What we have?
That was the last one. Those were all the ones I picked.
Dear Lord, this
wasn't that painful.
Wasn't that painful? It lasted longer than I had anticipated, which is what she said. And so, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on with me. This has been a lot more fun than me just like reading things off of a spreadsheet and answering them on my own.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to help. People pleaser.
Yay. All right, guys, I'm going to call it good here. So thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Xerath and Celiac Sarah prevail. And the Wheel of Time. Go check out our podcast, guys. Yep. Goodbye.